Signal Publishers Limited, we have a number of titles. The first one we call the Mr. Different series, and this is one of them. We have the Mr. Difference series, where we have Mr. Difference books for all the learning areas at grade 9. We have agriculture, mathematics, pre-technical studies, mathematics, Swahili, all the learning areas we have of the Mr. Difference series. Then we have another line of series which we call the combined series. This is a sample of the combined series. So for the combined series, we have combined series from pre-primary 1 all the way up to grade 6. Then we also have the ECD workbooks. I believe you have seen some of them in the market. We have 5 for each level. So for PP1 we have 5. We have for mathematical activities, language activities, Swahili, environmental, and the religious. Mr. Difference is a representation of a character, and it is the character of that learner who we want to nurture to enable him or her act wisely and decisively. So Mr. Difference represents that mindset of a learner whom we want to act differently. Okay, so having said that, what truly makes Mr. Difference different? What truly makes it different? Of course, it will be now the contents of the book. So that brings us to the aspect of features. So what features do this Mr. Difference book have that indeed makes it different and will enable us nurture that different learner? The Mr. Difference book, and this applies to all the titles, we have contents arranged per strand as outlined in the curriculum design. Then within the strands, we have contents arranged from grade 7 up to grade 9. Of course, you may be aware that the Mr. Difference, this is a revision book that has been tailored for learners from grade 7 up to grade 9. So that means that a grade 7 can consume this book, a grade 8 can consume it, and a grade 9 can also consume it. So the way the book has been carefully developed, in the table of content, as you can see, we have a strand for each learning area. We have the strands given. Then within the strands, we have contents arranged from grade 7 up to grade 9. And as you can see, they are even differentiated using colors, which means that for a learner who is in grade 7, if he or she was to consume this book, they will clearly know the extent to which they are supposed to learn. So you see that is done in strand 1, strand 2, strand 3, strand 4. So every learner cannot be confused when using this book or knowing to what level they are supposed to utilize the content. Yeah. Then every strand now has something that we call a strand preview. A strand preview essentially talks about the entire strand. What is this strand all about? We answer the essential question, where are we going? So the strand preview gives a quick review of the strand, what it entails, and why it is important for a learner to master the concepts in this strand. Then after the strand preview, we have the key concepts. The key concepts, as you can see, we have the concepts from each particular strand put in bullet form, outlined here. So the key concepts are supposed to prompt a learner to recognize that these are the key concepts that they are supposed to learn and acquire in this strand. So a learner using this book can quickly go through this and be like, this concept, I'm good with this. Then with this one, I need to do much more. Then from the key concepts, we now have another feature. Of course, we begin the substrands. So we have already introduced the strand, and we have outlined the key concepts for that strand. We now move directly to the substrand. So we have the substrand here. So for the substrands, each substrand, what comes immediately below it is a feature we call think about it, talk about it. Think about it, talk about it. So think about it, talk about it. This is a feature that is meant to like prompt a learner just before even the learning takes place. We are prompting a learner on something that they may be experiencing, and it is what is supposed to induce them to the real learning that they're supposed to like get. So for instance, here, this is agriculture. Here is a think about it, talk about it. You are walking around the school farm. It's about the substrand is on controlling soil pollution. So think about it, talk about it. Yes, you are walking around the school farm and you find that crops in some parts of the farm are not doing well. The teacher asks you to give reasons for this. Which possible reasons would you give? You see, we have not even like tackled the first learning outcome, but we are prompting you. Think about it, talk about it. So this will even induce you to getting to like want to know what next are you now supposed to acquire. So that brings the element of the first learning outcome. As you can see here, we have maybe the first learning outcome in this agriculture. It's identifying causes of soil pollution. That is the first learning outcome. Then below it, we have quick task. So quick task is the next feature after think about it, talk about it. So quick task, being in the competence-based education era, you are all aware that the focus is on the learner discovering knowledge by themselves, as opposed to how it used to be where you could just feed them with information, then later on assess them on what you have fed them. So quick task does that for you. They are essentially an equivalence of the activities which they are being used to learn in the classroom setup, but with our quick tasks, they are very, very, very brief, and they are coming in form of questions, they are coming in form of real life scenarios, they are coming in form of puzzles. It's just something to prompt the learner to be able to try acquire that knowledge by themselves before we finally give them information. When you move to the next learning outcome, that repeats itself. Quick task, key points note, and so on and so forth. Then, just before the substrand ends, we have another important feature that we call a checkpoint. We call a checkpoint. So what are these checkpoints? So these checkpoints, they are features that have content that is meant to like try to prompt a learner to answer a question that if they do answer, it will mean that the key competency in that particular substrand is home. Then after the checkpoints, we now have review exercises. Review exercises. So the review exercises, we have two sets. We have set A and set B. Set A are structured questions. As you can see, they are structured questions. Then we have set B, which are multiple choice questions. These ones are questions that are authentically formed to be able to assess the learners on the key competencies from this particular substrand. So after the review exercise, you go to the next substrand, and the same thing repeats itself. Think about it, talk about it, quick task, key points to note. Then at the end of that particular strand, we have something we call activity of integration. Activity of integration. So, having mentioned that Mr. Difference is aiming at is aiming at molding that different learner to be able to apply the concept they have learned beyond their classroom boundaries. So we have something that is now meant to see if they are able to indeed apply it, but it is now coming in form of a real life scenario, and some of them may be true facts, or some of them may be just common scenarios that they get to see in their communities. Then after the summary, we now have what we call the end of strand assessments. Remember, earlier on I talked of review exercises where we had set A and set B, structured objective. Now at the end of every strand, we also have two sets of assessments for the learners. We have the study questions, and we have what we call the practice quiz. The study questions are authentically formulated, and they are cutting across from grade 7 up to grade 9. Then we have the practice quiz. These ones are now multiple choice questions that are also arranged from grade 7 up to grade 9, and they are meant to help a learner revise across the entire strand. Now, at the end of the last strand, we have 10 model test papers. We have 10 model test papers. We have the first 3 model test papers are crafted for a learner who is in grade 7. The next 3, which will be from test paper 4 to 6, we have contents for, or rather assessments for, a grade 8 learner and a grade 7 learner. Of course, at grade 8, you can be tested in grade 7 and grade 8, but grade 8 is majority. Then the last 4 test papers, with grade 9 being a candidate class, we have 4 test papers tailored for it, and the 4 test papers have also been assessed from grade 7 all the way up to grade 9. And at the end of it all, we have all the answers for all the assessments that were in the book, including the checkpoints and so on and so forth. So we have all the answers for the assessments that were in that book. So the learner is given an opportunity to quickly cross-check the answers that they may have come up with themselves and be able to correct themselves as appropriate.